BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy. Welcome to episode 615 of BRB UK. The holiday season is upon us. I still haven't bought any Christmas presents, and I'm mildly terrified I might have to cancel Christmas with my family. In my defense, they have not told me anything that they want, so I'm just going to do a random number generator of Argos numbers and see what comes out. That's my plan. Tim, hello. How are you?
Hello.
Are you more organised about Christmas than me?
No. Although I am
Excellent.
going on holiday for Christmas, so I'm using that as an excuse to buy Christmas presents after Christmas.
Where are you going? Bognor Regis?
Thailand, actually. Yeah.
Ooh, no drinking the methanol though, Tim.
No.
Coleman's also here. Hello,
Hi.
Coleman. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It might be worth saying that we've got Christmas presents for each and every one of our dear listeners and viewers.
Aw.
Yeah,
All 2
4
of you.
episodes of BRB UK while we're away doing Christmas stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a bit predictable at this point. It's the same gift we do every year.
Yeah. Got you the same thing we did last year.
Although one of
Socks. Socks for
although,
everyone.
although one of them is such a gloriously epic fail. I'm just gonna put that out there. There is some glorious fail.
Are we talking about my fail?
Yeah, there's several glorious fails. One of them is my particular favourite series of fails. But anyway, I shan't spoil it.
Okay.
You've got
Okay.
those to look forward to, you lucky scamps. We're too good to you. Too good to you, I tell you. So I backed out of wearing my well, we've all been playing Indiana Jones. Let's not beat about the bush.
Right,
I
yeah.
found this hat.
Found.
It's good.
Found this hat in my cupboard. I bought it in
Right.
Australia in 2004. It no longer fits me for some reason. My head has grown, and I now look like
Yes.
rather than look like Indiana Jones, I look more like Wurzel Gummidge apparently. So I'm not going to wear it. Coleman has got a quasi leather jacket going on, and
I mean,
Tim
it's a
lives in an
leather
Aztec
jacket.
temple. So you know we're all golden,
Yeah.
really, aren't we?
So, yeah. All good.
Ooh, like a golden idol of fertility.
No, Mr. November is definitely not a golden idol of fertility.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was even aimed at being an insult or.
Well, as we're talking about Indiana Jones, should we just jump
Yes.
straight into it?
Oh, why don't we?
Because,
Let's do that.
let's
Let's
do
swing on
that.
into it.
Swing, indeed.
Yeah.
I haven't got so far. I think I've only sunk about 2.5 hours in.
Have you got to
I
the
really don't want to
Vatican
give.
yet?
I am in the Vatican. I wasn't going to give
Right.
spoilers, but Tim's just romped in there.
Yeah. It's fine.
I'm.
That's okay.
It's
It's
the
been
first
widely
level
talked
that isn't the
about, yeah.
tutorial.
Yeah. So I'm in the Vatican, and I'm plundering tombs and shaking my fist at those pesky black shirts, defiling the city of God with their propaganda. No, I'm really enjoying it. Actually, it feels. I was really worried. It was going to be a slightly crap stealth game, but actually, the way they've done it, there's a kind of a nod to stealth, but they know the priority is fun, and it's a bit like. I really think they've got the balance of kind of the exploration and the puzzles down really well, and it genuinely feels like you are playing indie in a movie. The soundtrack is incredible, totally spot on. Troy Baker does an incredible job as Indy.
Apparently, they did a little treatment to his voice to make him sound more like Indy. So I don't know
That makes sense.
what MacGuffins they use there, but
They made him
it's
swallow
really
Harrison
well.
Ford.
That'll be it.
No, I was a little worried. 'cause
Talking of dusting off ancient artifacts, but
yeah.
yeah.
I've been checking out a bit of preview footage before getting into this, and which I don't usually do, but I've been very excited for this, and I kept getting the dates wrong of when it was coming out, and then I'd go, "Drat,
Monday,
let's watch
mate,
some
is when
footage
it came
instead."
out.
Yes, I know that now. And I was a bit worried about the Troy Baker role because whenever I hear him in preview footage, I hear Troy Baker doing an impression of Harrison Ford. But then when playing the game, that just kind of melts away, and it's like, yeah, that's Indiana Jones. That's Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
it works.
It feels like it.
And the way like a lot of the kind of stuff feels really true. That kind of slightly camp, moderately self-aware air that the movies have, where they know it's a bit of a silly caper, is still there, which is great because
Yes,
it generally
captured
doesn't.
that well.
Yeah, it could be. It kind of feels very authentic, like the original lot of indie movies.
Yeah.
And kind of all of the
Gone-
great tropes from those are there, as well as a lot
Yeah.
of fan service, I think. And I'm really, really, really enjoying it, I have to say.
I was a bit worried going in that it was going to be a bit of a poor man's Uncharted or a kind of just a reskinning of Wolfenstein with a whip, basically.
Whippenstein.
Whippenstein.
Yeah, it's neither of those things though, really. I think it's as you say, it's self-aware, it's referential to what it was, but it's also blended together gameplay wise, a different approach than Uncharted or Wolfenstein, made it its own thing that feels more reminiscent of those original indie films. And I think concentrating on the exploration of the environment, and making it so that like you level up by finding books and comics in the environment that then give you different skills that you can then spend points on. And I think that's quite clever. And making it so that you are like stumbling across clues that then lead to different things. It feels very kind of like a natural Indiana Jones adventure that you happen to be in control of. And I think that really suits the game. It's also got a kind of almost slapstick feel to the fisticuffs kind of nature of it. Like
it's lots of pow, slap, smack. Boom.
And the opening part of the game is literally a recreation of one of the scenes of the films. I won't spoil it too much if you haven't seen it, but that's like kind of nice and kind of gets you into the mood for it and kind of sort of that
Tim,
right
it's
approach.
literally the cover of this episode.
But yeah. But then
We're covered.
I literally had a hard crash in the very first area of the game, and I was like, "Oh, is this not going to run well on Series S? Is this going to be a problem?" But I haven't had any other technical issues from that. I think it looks pretty good on the Series S from what I've seen as well. But like getting into that like there's a little training level after that kind of isn't quite open world, but then you get into the Vatican and that's more of an open world area. It's one of the first of a few open world areas that's got a load of mini missions and stuff like that. But in exploring that area, I think in quick succession, I knocked out a Nazi with a frying pan, then with a violin, and then with a guitar. And I was like,
broomstick I'd say broomstick is my weapon of choice, closely followed by a trowel.
And I was like, okay, this is Game of the Year material. Like, that's just great.
And the sound of the frying pan's really satisfying as well. It's
Yeah.
thunk. It's like, yes.
I can't remember what I first hit. It was one of the fascists, and I hit them with something, and an achievement popped up.
Freedom is what you hit them with.
And then hit them with a violin, and another one
Yeah.
popped up that was like instrument related. And I went, okay, so we've got achievements for different weapons. Right, I'm just going to try every weapon I see. Fly swatter is my favorite so far because it's just so stupid.
Nice.
Like you have to really wind up for it, and it's just like.
Although, how are you finding the hand-to-hand combat? Because I actually think that's probably the weakest part of the game, I have to say.
I like it. It's not too serious.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I have got the revolver, but I haven't fired my gun at anyone yet. I haven't shot anyone. Like, all of my stuff has been fisticuffs so far, and it's just been a general case of you pick something up on the fly, like using your whip, you can knock weapons out of people's hands and then pick them up and hit them over. And it feels nicely in keeping with the films, like you are kind of like making it up as you go along and having to do things on the fly, and it feels in keeping. And as I said, it's got a comical nature to it almost. It's almost like kind of put them up kind of thing, you know, like and then just like swinging at people. But I really quite like it so far. I like it more than I thought I would from having seen it in videos and stuff, basically. So yeah,
maybe
in
Indy on my save just needs to work a bit on his cardio because he like throws 3 punches and then he needs to lie down. It seems kind of.
Have you been
a bit out of shape there, and it's actual 70-year-old Harrison Ford doing it.
Have you been eating your fruit?
I have not been eating my fruit.
Okay,
Do I need to boost my stamina with my fruit?
You get more stamina. So you actually want to eat some of the fruit that you like. You don't want to just save it for when you need it. You want to eat some of it when you find it, and that adds to your stamina bar.
Okay.
What about biscotti? Finding a
I
bunch
do
of
like a biscotti.
Biscotti adds to your health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes me feel a bit bloated if I have too many of them, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hand-to-hand combat, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I've got a feeling it's just going to click with me at some point.
Yeah.
I need some time with it.
You also
it's
upgrade
kind of,
that as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's got a bit of that Butcher Bay feeling, which it's a machine game, so that makes sense. But and again, that was a bit of a rough one to start with, but then you get used to it as you kind of progress in that game. So I've got a feeling that's just what I need to do here.
I think it's just getting the muscle
acclimatize
memory down. It's like kind of the LB being parry, and then RB being your whip and stuff like that, and just getting my eye in with what the range of things are, because I keep swinging and missing, I think, is also part of the problem. Which is no good. But I mean, I really like. I hope the puzzles ratchet up a bit in difficulty, which I'm sure they will. I mean, obviously in the Vatican, it's still the first area of the game, but I kind of quite like the exploring the environment for clues. It feels like it just kind of gives you just enough info and encourages you to explore for the rest. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm really glad they didn't lean too hard into the stealth, though, as I said already, where it is like notionally
It's pretty
you
stealth.
need to hide, but actually the stealth AI is pretty dumb. So
you can
just as
also
long as you're
punch your way
crouching-
through things as well. So
Yeah.
I avoided the guard dogs a lot in that first level, but you don't
Sensible.
need to so much. You can just knock out the person that's with the guard dog, and then if you you don't whip the dog, but you crack your whip and it scares the dog and he goes submissive, so you don't have to deal with the dog, just so you know.
What if I want to whip a dog?
No.
You
You're bad
wouldn't
Coleman.
whip a dog, Coleman.
I'm a bad man when it comes to virtual animals.
Yeah. You got four.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Probably want to mention as well, like Tony Todd's in this game, and I don't know if this is his last role ever, because as he's died now, but it's probably his last video game role.
Yeah,
he does well in it.
He does.
He's terrifying in it, as he is in most roles he does.
It's very true. Very true. And so Tim, you said you were playing it on the S, Coleman. You're playing it on the X.
Mm-hmm.
X, baby. That means I get the high definition texture pack.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I have no regard for that extra 47 gig. Slap it on, is what I say. I tried playing it on PC, but as you've probably heard me grumble in the show before, I think my graphics card is dying.
Oh.
I've had a couple of. It looks phenomenal, but the frame time pacing wasn't great. It was slightly juddery, I found. I think the problem is that the 3080 RTX 3080 graphics card I've got only has 10 gig of VRAM, which I think, from what I've been reading on reports on the internet, it really needs more to work smoothly. Graphics, but it looked incredible. Certainly, the kind of volumetric lighting and the kind of real nice subtle touches you get with kind of modern high-end graphics were beautiful. But I must admit, because I found the frame rate was generally around 60, but there were some pretty big dips that I actually ended up. And again, it might just be because I think my graphics card's dying.
Yeah.
But I've kind of moved over to playing it on the X, which is it's a little bit of a visual downgrade from the PC, not massively, I must say, but is a rock solid 60 frames throughout. It's buttery smooth to play, really great experience actually on the Series X. I mean, Tim, I know you can't detect frame rates, but is it smooth on the S? Is it 30 frames, 60 frames a second?
Yes, you know me. Me and my frame rate. It's not something I'm highly sensitive to, but I was worried it was going to be like a bit muddy or not graphically impressive. But it's been fine. Other than that one technical like hiccup where I had a complete hard crash in the first open area, I literally turned around and the whole thing just froze up. I was like, oh, okay. But other than that, like I haven't seen any technical problems that have been a major issue. It probably doesn't, looks a bit nicer on the X and a bit nicer again on the PC. But because I haven't seen those, I don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah, you don't know what you're missing out on.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks graphically impressive even on the S, I would say.
I had a weird issue on the X. The first section where you swim, and to kind of get the underwater effect, it blurs the vision of the character and makes it sway a bit. As I then came out from the water, it was still doing it. And
you might have been wet, Coleman.
No, it took me a while to figure out what was going on. Like I was trying to heal my character.
And you smeared your face in Vaseline?
No. It was a problem in the game. It was a glitch in the game. I had to look it up and see what was going on. But it was starting to make me feel sick as it was happening. And I thought, I was like, did I take damage somehow? I was trying to like use bandages and things and nothing was happening. And then I looked, and it was it's like a glitch with the motion blur. You have to switch the motion blur off because otherwise it doesn't like it very much. Which and usually that's my default. I'll go in and I'll just go right, switch off motion blur, turn off film grain, like make it as smooth as possible. That's how I like to look at the game. But when it opened and it was doing the Last of the Crusade stuff, I went, well, I kind of want it to look like the film, I'll leave that. Yeah, I'll leave that stuff on and I'll play around with it a little bit and like maybe. Yeah, and I did that for a bit and I went, okay, I'm all right with the look of this. But then once the motion blur thing happened, I went, right, turn it off, go back to normal. I don't like this.
But so all of us picked up on Game Pass, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth the 60 to 70 quid potentially?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
if
would
you don't
agree.
have access to Game Pass, I don't think you'd be disappointed with purchasing it if that's your normal way of doing things. I think this equates to, a standard like full price game. Although if you can do it through Game Pass, that obviously
Why not?
makes it a bit
Yeah,
better.
Why
Why
wouldn't
not?
you?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think the really impressive thing for me though, it just absolutely nails the feel of being a true indie adventure as well. I was worried it was going to feel a bit like a bit of a kind of a low rent version of kind of an indie adventure, but it really feels like the genuine thing and like one of the good indie films, not necessarily Crystal Skull looking at you. It's proper 80s indie-tastic action. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Indie-tastic.
Little known indie game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've been massively excited for this game since the announcement, and like last week I was preparing for this. I watched the first 3 original Indiana Jones films. I've been so ready for this, and I love all the little like the nods and the Easter eggs that you're expecting in this game. They're all there, and it kind of sort of alludes to what happened between Indy and what's her name, the love interest,
Marion.
Marion, that's it. What's gone on there. So I love all that stuff, and it's done tastefully. It's done well. There are characters that have since actors that have since passed on that are in this game, so they've had to get sound alikes in, and they've all done pretty good jobs. And the facial captures, I really like
it's
this
great.
game. I'm a
great.
big fan.
It's great. No, I thoroughly recommend it. I'm really enjoying my time with it. Looks like it's got so many great secrets to find as well that there's going to be some good replay value there as well. So
one thing I'm not sure, is it set between the second and third film?
So I think the date in the intro.
Well, the second film's a prequel to the first
the second
film, so it's between the first and the third.
First and the third. Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's 1937, I think.
Oh, I don't know, because he's got. So if you have it on Game Pass, then you automatically have like a special pre-order pack thing, and you have the Lion Tamer's whip, which is from Last Crusade. Though he gets that as a child, so then that would make sense. I don't know, Tim. Is it after Last Crusade or is it after Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I don't think it could be after Last Crusade. I wouldn't have thought. But as you said, it said 1936 in the beginning, but then I thought that was the bit
prequel,
that it had taken
the
from
intro bit.
Temple of Doom.
That was Raiders.
Or Raiders.
Yeah, so Raiders is set in 1936, which is that intro.
Yeah. But then it jumps forward a few years, no?
No, then Temple of Doom's a prequel to the other movies.
No, but I mean the game jumps forward from 1936.
Yeah, he's looking up a timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, but only by like a year.
And then does it tell you on that where the game starts?
Yeah, 1930. So it's between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. There we go. In the timeline.
Okay.
Boom.
We did it in the end.
Yeah. Suck it. There we go.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. Anyway, before we start that nonsense again, you guys have played some other games as well. Shall we let Tim go first? Because I'm not sure I want to encourage the behavior of talking about VR games on this fine podcast, but
I mean, just I don't know if this will sway you, but I do have an actual review game.
I think Coleman should go first, and I'll cram in.
Coleman should go first, which means, Tim, you're going to have to be quick.
Review game.
An actual review. So you, Coleman, I believe, have been playing Spirit of the Samurai, which is
the Spirit of the Samurai.
Spirit of Samurai, and it's a 2D stop-motion action adventure. Tell me more. I am intrigued.
Yeah, so Tim kind of had to remind me of what this game was because we had played this at EGX, a year ago? It's
Yeah,
a
I
little
think
while
so.
ago now. And I did not remember it. And then once I started, took a look at the screenshots, oh yeah, I vaguely kind of remember this. And I remember some, because this was early, well, not early in development, but this was still in pre-development when we were watching, playing along with this game. And it had some chunky things like voice acting done through text-to-speech AI stuff that had to be replaced. It was all placeholder stuff, but there was some weird things. But the reason this caught my eye, and it might catch yours too, Dan, is one, the stop-motion animation style of this. Two, cat. Got a cat.
Yes, it's got a cat.
Game with a cat.
Game with a cat. Stop motion game with a cat. It's like Wallace and Gromit, but better with swords and cats. Apart from it's not like Wallace and Gromit at all. Just the stop motion thing made me think that.
Yeah.
So the kind of point of this game is, as you said, Dan, 2D action adventure samurai game. And I was trying to kind of pin down what the style reminded me of, and the closest I could think was Blade Warrior, which was an Amiga game that was kind of like a night game in silhouette. And I think it was just kind of the pacing and the style that reminded me of that, because it was something I hadn't seen, and that's why I wanted to play that game, and similar with this one. Otherwise, it's a little bit more fast-paced than that. So you're playing as a samurai character, and there are evil oni that are raising from the graves and attacking you and your village.
Pesky demons.
Yeah, and you kind of have to use different parries and blocks and rolls and slashes in a sort of, I don't want to say a Souls-like, because it's a bit more forgiving than a Souls-like type game, but it's a bit slower than a hack and slash. It's all kind of precise movements and how you've got to get through, because with this game you have like 3 bars of life, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed and overrun and taken down.
You've been shortchanged on your Kit Kat, mate. Or it's a generous Twix, one or two. I don't know.
But the main part of this game is, yes, it's the fighting, the combat of the game, but also there's a lot of puzzles. It's exploring a large map and going into areas, climbing up ladders and avoiding traps, and then getting into fights and looking for items so you can like lockpick doors and unlock trap doors and things, and move along your way until you get to a boss fight, rinse, repeat. But with this one, you get you got the 3 different characters. You got a young boy who's kind of serving as sort of semi-narrator of the game. You're sort of talking to you're a young boy being told a story by a mystical fox, who's explaining the story of the samurai and his kitten.
And then totally normal interaction. Yep, carry on. Nothing to see here.
So whenever you're playing as the samurai, you've got the sword for attacks, obviously, and then you've got the kitten that can distract enemies, attack enemies, and then you can run up and take a couple of swings at them, and duck back and wait for the cat to recharge and do it all over again. But then you have levels when you're...
How long does that take? 16 hours to recharge, like my cat.
Yeah, he's having a sleep. But then you have levels where you're playing as the cat as well, which I remembered this being... in the full game, it's a lot less frustrating than I found it in the demo, because I could not figure out what... You had this it was a stealth thing where you're avoiding a monster in long grass, and playing as the cat trying to avoid getting killed and doing obstacles and things. But no matter what I did, I just kept getting caught and killed and ending to a cutscene, which is a very nice cutscene because all the cutscenes look really, really good. And there are some issues that I've got to mention, but I've been told that there's a day 1 patch when this game comes out tomorrow. That should sort a lot of these issues out. But one of the big ones I'm having is before a cutscene plays, it plays like the old, the old multicolor test card that goes on the TV.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
It flashes one of those up for a few. It flashes one of those up for a few seconds, and sometimes it will play the cutscene, sometimes it won't.
Nice.
And, so every now and then, it's meant to be playing a cutscene that's introducing like a big bad, but instead I get a test card that pops up, and then I get attacked. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Suddenly there's a thing there that wasn't there. It's like a pot with legs. It's weird. So there's issues with that as
This
well.
just
And
all
also,
sounds like a cheese dream so far, Coleman. I'm not going to lie.
yeah. And also, there's a lot of issues playing on Steam Deck. I don't know if it's going to be verified for Steam Deck
Right.
straight away post launch, but I've tried on Steam Deck. It can run. It's just there's more issues than you would get on the desktop.
That's
I have a
something they
question.
might sort that out further
Yes.
down the line, no?
Yeah, I think so.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
The stop motion style, is it like all true stop motion? It's all been pre-captured, or is it like the 3D models are there and it's just the animation style is stop motion?
That's what I'm trying to work out, because it doesn't look like Sim was talking about a stop motion point and click a little while ago.
Yes, I just had to look up the name of that game to remind me. It's Harold Halibut, and
Howard-
that was one that
that's
was
it.
it was in development for years because they did a full stop motion thing on that. I would imagine
Yeah.
that's not the case with this. I imagine it's an animation style rather than a
Well,
fully stop motion thing. I would think, but I don't
See,
know.
that's what I thought, and then I was trying to work out if they've just like lowered the frame rates of characters to the world around it, or is it done through like frame captures and they've just like lowered how many frames they're using. Trust me, that sounds the same, but it is different.
Right,
But from some of the footage I was trying to find online, I think they have done a motion capture type thing for the characters, and that's how they've got the effect. And apparently
Right.
that's like one of the issues as to why they may have spent more time on the animation than
Right,
some of the
okay.
other areas of the game. It may have needed help, because stop motion animation, it seems like a really cool thing to get into, and then you start doing it and go, oh wait, this takes forever. And it really does, especially if you're then scanning all that stuff into a video game as well. I
Yeah.
can imagine that being a bit of a pain in the bum. But yes, otherwise it's an enjoyable game. It's got some rough edges. I'll probably report back. It won't be next week because we're going to be away for 4 weeks after this.
Yeah.
But when we're back, I'll give this some more time and get ready for my review and stuff. But I'll report back whether a lot of those issues that I've got are fixed. Because one of the problems I'm having is, so there are cutscenes and the cutscenes are skippable, but there are cutscenes that are unskippable, and there are elements of the game where you will just like fall into a death trap and have to repeat part of the game, and a lot of the times you can get stuck in kind of a death loop, coming back to the same unskippable cutscene, and when that happens, it's very, very annoying.
I know. It was
like,
quite
I
hard
was
and
playing this-
unforgiving, the combat in this as well, though, no? So I could see that sort of being good for the game, but adding to the frustration if you're going through that sort of again.
I think they've tuned the combat a fair bit from what I played in preview, because I
Okay.
found the combat much easier in preview. I was literally just rolling in and slashing everyone in the back. In this one, it seems like I'm getting overpowered and I've got to behave myself, and enemies are doing more of the stuff that I would do to kind of cheese it as
Right.
well. So yeah, I think they might have just ramped it up, or there's a difficulty setting that I just activated, not paying attention or
I
something.
mean, does it feel fair? Because one of the kind of things I heard about this perhaps a bit earlier on is that the hitbox detection felt a little bit inconsistent in combat, or is that not really been what you experienced?
No, I never noticed the hitboxes in combat. I always that's always something I notice in platformers more than anything else. So if that is an issue here, it's not one that I picked up on.
Fair enough. So yeah,
but it's
so
hard.
it's coming out.
Cool, and there's a cat. It's coming out tomorrow.
Coming out tomorrow. So that
Okay.
is
Yep.
December the 12th, 2024.
Yeah, so that'll be on Steam.
And Epic,
Mhm,
I believe it's out on as well. So,
Oh, is it coming to Epic? I didn't see
I
that on
believe.
my press kit.
look at you. Ooh, one's been playing from the press kit.
They sent me a PDF and everything. No
Did they?
slouches
Aren't
here.
you a special boy?
I know. But yes, Spirit of the Samurai. Check it out. No price yet, because I assume they're putting that up on the day.
It will be more than £0.
Exactly. Yeah, they're just giving it away for
It will
everyone.
be some pounds.
To put you on the spot, Coleman, what would you say from what you've played so far would be a good price point for this game that you would say that's okay?
25, I reckon.
That sort of
Okay.
range.
No,
Okay.
wait. 24.99.
Nice.
Yes, just
That expensive.
24.99.
$24.99.
But you can, if you just want to check it out, there is a demo available on Steam as well. So you can
Yes,
always
there
check
is.
the demo out.
Cool.
Well,
Try
Tim.
before you buy, baby.
Well. You've played
Welly,
a VR
welly,
game.
welly.
Yes.
I am feeling a bit sleepy anyway, so this is going to help lull me off to a nice a nice cheeky little sleep. You've been playing Skydance's Behemoth. I understand.
Can we guest on VRB, but we'll just be like on little like we are now. So it'd be you and you and Kev talking on the top, then me and Dan on the bottom. We'll just be sleeping.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the Waldorf and what's the name from the Muppets.
Yes, no, put us on top. I'll get us a little cutout of balconies, and we'll just make jokes the whole time.
Ain't no school like the old school. So you've been playing what I've heard is a decidedly average VR game, Tim.
I think,
really?
and it seems to be slightly divisive, and there are people that come down more heavily on criticizing its faults, and there are people that seem to be coming more sort of down on my side, which is the kind of singing its praises. And I can certainly see where the criticisms come from, but there's I think there's a few faults there, but I kind of think with a bit of tweaking, it could be absolutely excellent, and I'm really enjoying the bit of it that I've played. I have seen, and I have gone off and watched, I think I watched Eurogamer's thing today. And they were very down on it. Also,
they were.
BRB alumni Kev has not taken to it well. He's really not liked it very much at all.
I heard the Quest versions are a bit iffy compared to the others.
And I think that might be part of the problem, but I think the Eurogamer version was the PSVR 2 one, as far as I'm aware, because that's what Ian Higdon tends to review on. As I said, I can see why some people find fault with it, and I can't necessarily argue with those things, but I haven't experienced some of the problems they were playing. Like Ian particularly noted, like there were checkpointing problems and stuff like that, and I had one minor issue with that, but not enough to upset me, and that was mainly because I'd gone off and gone through a checkpoint and then gone back to a side quest area rather than progressing naturally. So I thought it just kind of reset me to where the main progress was rather than there when I was dying. But I think that was as much my fault as anything else. But I just haven't had the issues that he's had. Like he said about dying in boss fights, and I was like, I didn't die in that boss fight, so I guess I just didn't experience the problem that he did. I'm not saying
throwing shade to Eurogamer.
Pro gamer Tim.
There was also one boss fight I had, and I forgot about this when I was talking about it before, and it's going to be in the future from where we are now because we did some time traveling episodes. But anyway, but yeah, I actually had a hard boss fight that glitched out on me, and I only kind of beat it because of that. And maybe I might have got stuck on that for a bit longer, and that would have got more frustrating had that not been the case. But that was quite an enjoyable boss fight, and it's added some nice kind of things. Like basically, anyone that doesn't know, Behemoth is a kind of fantasy sort of beat 'em up type thing where you've got like melee combat mainly with a bit of bow and arrow combat as well. And
I've realised I've not been playing any of the footage to any of the games.
Oh yeah, I was going to say.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. That's Indiana Jones. Sorry, there's Behemoth.
Okay.
I was about to say that was like, I'm not sure you can take down a behemoth using a
candlestick.
Using a candlestick.
Yeah. I realised going into this that you hadn't done that as well. But anyway, yeah, a bit too late for the rest of them.
So
maybe you can
so
put
my
some
understanding is
footage
kind
in.
of that.
Well, not ugly mugs when it comes to the video thing, but yeah.
So the kind of the big kind of boss fight set pieces, because I've heard this pitched as like a VR Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes, I think that's where some people's criticism comes into it. The fact that there are colossi type things, or behemoths as they are, that are a bit few and far between. You kind of, as you're going through the level, you kind of see them and interact with them. Like, not necessarily interact with them, but kind of see them in the background, or they fly. Like, the second one's a kind of flying one that flies over you and stuff like that as well. And you kind of see them in the run up to them, but there's like a couple of hours of like mini bosses and stuff that aren't big monsters, are generally kind of like other humans that you're kind of fighting and stuff as well. But there's three behemoths that they talk about, and I've heard other reviewers talking about there being a fourth, but they are something kind of spread out. Apparently it's like 8 to 10 hours, but I don't see how I'm going to get through the game in that amount of time, because I've been trying to do the side mission stuff as well. and because I'm not sure that I'll necessarily go back and play it all through. So I'm trying to get most of the stuff done in one run. And yeah, like I don't know, like I don't see me getting through it in 8 hours. It's certainly going to be 10 or more, I think, for me to get through the game. I think you could, if you were ignoring some of the side mission stuff, you could get through it a lot faster. But then I've kind of enjoyed like just exploring the game. Look, the base combat I really like. And Kev said he was having problems with parrying, but I just haven't been deliberately parrying that much. And I also think it depends on the type of weaponry that you're going with and stuff as well. Because I've either gone like sword and shield, where you don't need to parry so much because you're just sticking the shield out and then just laying into people. You've also got like a power up mechanic, like where you put strength into things, and you can then kind of knock people about a lot more quickly and slash them in half when you're kind of going at them, especially with bigger weapons.
Nice.
I also do like a twin sword thing or a sword and a dagger in hand. And then I find that I can just block a lot of things by like holding them at different angles and then attacking them quickly. The strength thing you can also use, there's a bow and arrow generally in the game, but there's also like magic versions of weapons that are kind of enhanced weapons. One that's a sword that you can throw and it'll come back to you, but you can also like spin and cut through enemies and stuff as well. A bit like God of War, but not quite as well implemented, because I think that was a very, very good implemented system. It's not. It feels like a slightly poor man's version of that, but it's serviceable and works. But then you got like the bow and arrow, the mystical bow and arrow, like has arrows that you don't have to find in the environment like you do for the other bows and arrows. It kind of just recharges like the 3 charges of that arrow. And then it also they don't kind of fall off. You can shoot them larger distances and it's easier to aim. And I think that works quite well. Like you do have like up to 8 weapon slots that you can do, like 2 on your back and 2 on either side of your waist. And then it's got a kind of system where you can pull out this scroll and it brings out like a map and your upgrade system and different stuff on that. And then you've got a grapple hook that you can use to traverse the environments. But also, once you've upgraded a bit as well, you can use it to like pull enemies and objects around as well. And when you can pull enemies off ledges, but also if you use the strength option, that just kind of he shouts and does stuff when you're like going in, it goes a bit black and white. But then when you use the strength option and yank people, you can yank them larger distances and you can pull them into crevasses and stuff like that, so that they're dying. And yeah, like that becomes a useful part of your arsenal as well. Crevasses. I know. I realised.
Did you just damn the word crevices?
You didn't pick up on that earlier, but yeah.
I was still. My brain was still stuck
Crevices,
on trying not to sticker about yanking people over large distances. But there we go.
You can yank them off.
Yeah, yank them off.
Pretty good.
Well, it's only polite that you take them to a crevasse, somewhere nice like a crevasse, to yank them off.
Those are things you wear at weddings, isn't it?
For a second, I thought you'd let me get away with that, but yeah. But
Nope.
On the video footage here as well, you can see you battling the first of the behemoths, and you're kind of climbing up them. There's a whole thing in the game where there's rot, and that's the kind of thing that you're climbing on the behemoth. But you're also infected with rot as well, which is part of the things that give you powers. There's apparently a story explanation for that later on in the game, but I haven't come across that yet. But also, a lot of the enemies you're doing are infected with rot, so it's kind of affecting their brains, and they're kind of just gone a bit savage and attacking you and stuff as well. But like, I like the story setup. There's a thing with a
thing.
Well, there's an entity, you don't really know what it is, but it's kind of infecting you and talking to you, and you think you're going mad, but it's talking to you just in like, giving you an internal monologue that's kind of giving you hints and other stuff. Not an internal monologue, but an internal voice that's talking to just you, and only you can hear. But then there's another, like,
The voices.
I'm trying to avoid spoilers for who they are and who they are in the story, but there's a king of the realm type thing who's like this knight that you encounter early on in the game, and he kind of there's a whole thing with the relationship between you and him and other stuff going on. But I like the story beats they're setting up, and you don't really know whether to trust the voice in your head or trust this other character or trust what's going on. And I don't know exactly how that's going to pay off so far, but I'm intrigued enough to that want to pull me throughout the game. As I said, the basic combat great. I like the Behemoth combat. Like it's been a little bit janky at times, but the overall thing of what they're doing, I think, is good and it has been enjoyable. I never played Shadow of the Colossus, so maybe that's part of my thing where I'm not like
get out.
It's not something that I have a direct comparison to, even though that's something. So maybe that's coloring my opinion. Kev did also point out that after playing Batman, this feels a bit more reductive as well, and he's not a massive fan of melee combat in VR. And when it works, I am, so I don't have as big a problem with that. So perhaps that's playing into things too. But yeah, I really enjoyed it so far. I will say, and this is a spoiler for an upcoming episode, but I have to say, especially with the games we've been talking about this week, that Behemoth did sneak into my Game of the Year picks. And I think I was correct to say that I suspected at the time that indie may supplant it. And I think from the little bits I've played of both of them, indie is probably the superior game, and I should have probably picked that. But I couldn't because I hadn't played it when we did those episodes.
Indie's next year. We
Indie's
round
next
up.
year. You can't supplant something if it's for next year.
Okay. On a technicality.
Tim with all the long words, crevasse,
but
and
it's this year.
supplanted.
Crevasse.
Oh! Well, after I yanked Tarquin off, I went down the crevasse with him, and we had a wonderful time. I scaled his behemoth.
Can you not say that when I've just taken a sip of drink, please, Dan? But yeah.
So the game ranges $30.99 on the Meta Quest to $34.99 on the PSVR 2,
which is where
somewhere in between that on the. I think it's £31 something on the.
That's odd.
On the Steam VR as well. Yeah, it's got 3 different prices.
Random.
Would you recommend this for the price, Tim?
I would. It does come with the slight caveat that I think it will be improved as it goes down the line. I think it literally had a day one patch that I think dealt with a few issues that people were having pre-launch. It also had like a day 2 or 3 patch where they also put out another update as well. So I don't know what's correct, but I do think it feels like it's a bit of a shame that it was rushed out to release. I've really enjoyed it, and I will continue to play it and have enjoyed it. But I can understand other people's criticisms, and I think it might be a hold off for now because it might spoil. Like it hasn't spoiled it too much for me, but I've had a few little issues, and other people seem to have experienced much greater issues than I have. Especially, it seems with the Quest version, but even so with the PSVR 2 one. So it might be worth holding on until it's had a few more patches. At the same time, I'm not disappointed with my purchase. So, yeah.
Yeah, I checked this out last week when you mentioned it briefly to me, and then I looked it up. I was like, oh, I really like the look of this, but if it, and I've mentioned this to you before, Tim, if it is buggy and there is a physical release coming next year in February, I might hold out for the physical release because there's likeliness I can get that cheaper than the digital copy, and it will be fixed up by then, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
nicely
I
played,
just
Coleman.
don't like having physical copies for PSVR games because then it gets more difficult to switch between them.
I don't care.
If that doesn't bother you, then
the
fine.
motion controllers last an hour and a half, so might as well.
Yeah,
I did play until my controllers ran out, and yeah, I've seen a few people talk about this as well. I don't know if it's a widespread issue or it's not known about, but my charger seemed to stop charging my controllers after the last update, and I don't know why that is. Basically, so I've had.
Have you tried turning it off and on
things.
again? Presumably, if you can't charge them,
I need to
that's
get
quite
back
easy
to the plug
to
and do
achieve.
it. For now, I've just plugged them into straight USBs and charged them from that. But yeah,
that's why
for some reason it just didn't charge at all on my Gradle.
For some reason, the motion control charger, the official one, they just sell out super quick and then get resold at stupidly high prices. But I have the DualSense one, and I've mentioned this on the show before. I was dusting, and I accidentally pulled all the pins out because I used the wrong kind of cloth.
Oops.
Don't use a dusting cloth on your charger, kids.
Nope.
Yeah, so I now have 2 chargers.
Shall we move on to the news?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The festive news sadly continues. Looks like in much the same way as it has for the preceding but the year.
Mm-hmm. So Polish developer People Can Fly, you may know them. They got their big name in Gears of War Judgment, and then put out Bulletstorm and Outriders, Well, I think
Wasn't
Bulletstorm came
Bulletstorm
first,
before
actually.
Gears of War
Yeah.
Judgment?
Yeah, Bulletstorm was
Just
their
said
big
that.
one. That's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said that the other way
and more
around. But
recent-
anyway.
Yeah, I did, and then I corrected myself, and you
Okay.
talked over me.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Damn it, Tim.
More recently, Bulletstorm VR, which Tim's a huge fan of. I heard him say so on VRB.
He likes the highbrow humour, especially, is what Tim
I
likes.
mean,
That's
it
his
has got
favourite bit.
patched, and I've been meaning to go back to it because apparently it is much improved, but it was a bit ropey when it came out. But
Yeah.
that is apparently improved. Yeah.
Yes.
Mr.
So,
Frodo.
unfortunately, there's been a few cancellations and pauses of projects behind the scenes. They were meant to do a big collab with Take-Two on a game that was meant to come out. I think it was meant to come out this year, but that's since been axed off and cancelled completely.
Oh.
Take-Two pulled out 2 years ago, and they've been trying to carry on with this, but now they're having issues with the dreaded state of the market, which is affecting most things technological and entertainment, which is not great. But they've now had to either suspend or lay off 120 members of staff.
Oof. I don't know how many staff they have
Yeah.
ruled, but that sounds like quite a lot. No?
Yeah, and I'd imagine because Outriders was... I think that was a game that was meant to be a games of service, but they kind of pulled back on that model into more of a... It was more Gears of War-y with
It
some
went more the
Destiny
more
influence.
DLC route than kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
continually updating live game. Although I think that was quite a last minute pivot for them. So
And I liked
It
that
felt
game
like
quite a lot, but it didn't
Yeah,
seem
it was a
to
fun
sell
8
very
hours.
well, no?
No, because they released it day one on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think that kind of
That
ate
doesn't
into
help.
its profits a bit. Yeah. So that is a shame because there's some talent there, and it's another Polish studio that's being kind of ravished as well. It's a shame. I expect similar is going to happen to. I hate to kind of cast doom on a company, but I think that's going to happen to CD Projekt, and that's why they're building out in the US now. I
Oh.
feel like.
Yeah, it's always bad when these people are affected, but the last couple of games, including Bulletstorm VR, had problems at launch, didn't sell particularly well. Kind of, with this project being
Green Hell
cancelled.
VR, I think they did. Yeah, they did the Green Hell VR version as well,
I quite like that.
which you liked. Yeah, but I don't think it sold particularly well.
No.
But always a shame when we see studios with, not a bad kind of back catalogue that they're hitters alongside everything else. But again, is it yet more of the post-COVID bubble, things bursting, and is it the long tail of that? It's such a shame. It's been a brutal year for layoffs.
Yes,
2020.
it has.
It's been a brutal 2 years for layoffs in the
Yeah,
tech
that's true.
industry.
Yeah.
So this one I could have seen coming a mile off. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Rocksteady have announced the Season 4 DLC character coming will be Deathstroke, which is surprising it's taken so long because this is a well-known character that people have wanted within the game, and B, the whole premise of the Suicide Squad video game, it all started with Deathstroke. So I don't know why it took them so long to get him in the game. Why he wasn't a main member of the cast to begin with. Anyway, so Season 4, that will kick off Deathstroke joining Mrs. Freeze and I forget the other characters. Oh, the Joker. But like a weird emo Joker.
Yeah.
And no, the other one is I forget now. It's Deadshot's daughter, who's like a more recent character. And she's a streamer. She's a streamer
Hey,
influencer.
she's down with the kids.
Yeah. And she has the cringiest
just like we are, because we're streamers.
She has the cringiest dialogue known to man. Anyway,
no, say it ain't so.
Yeah, so once Season 4 is out, that is the end of Rocksteady's
the end of Rocksteady
planned content.
Well, it might
planned content coming to Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. They are finally adding the offline mode, which they said would be coming by the end of the year, which like they're just about to squeak it in there. But from then on, it looks like they're just doing kind of basic support, and then I can see this going into maintenance mode pretty soon, much like the Avengers, and there was another game as well I was thinking of when I was putting this down. However, it's not all doom and gloom. Good news, guys. They're going to keep the store open so you can still
That's
spend
good.
your Luther coins on
Excellent.
costumes. Yeah? You happy with that? Good. Yeah?
Words cannot describe how little of a monkeys I give, to be honest with you.
And also, you can pick up the game for £10 at the moment.
Awesome.
We didn't talk about this at any other point. I'm just going to squeeze in the fact Marvel's Rivals is out and is doing really well as a free-to-play game. That kind of shows that this should have been a free-to-play game, possibly, if you're going to go for the original model they were going for, possibly.
Yes.
Not
Here's
a full-price game. That's
What is the thing, Coleman? Tell me the thing.
This game has annoyed me. And it's
Right.
I haven't. I'll fully admit I haven't played the game. I have watched the gameplay. It looked repetitive and boring.
But you love Batman
and
too,
not something
so-
that I'd really want to play. But I love Batman. I love the Arkham series, and people forget this is officially an Arkham game. It is in the
Yes.
Arkham universe,
yes.
and I have watched all the cutscenes like it's a movie. And I've got to say, there is some atrocious writing in this game. But also, it officially, this is why it really annoys me. It officially ruins the story of the Arkham games.
I know.
But it kind of craps on Kevin Conroy's performance at the same time.
Oh.
Which there's going to be a little bit of a spoiler here, but the story's not going to come out into its full fruition anyway when the game's all said and done. So I don't think there's a big problem here. But just as the name implies, the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League.
Do they now?
But
Say it isn't so.
there was
Coleman.
there was some scraping done online as different seasons and things kicked off, and it turned out through some audio logs, it looked like the whole idea was they've killed some kind of Brainiac clones of the Justice League. And the idea was in future, you can then bring those characters back, you can save them, and they will then become DLC characters in the future. However, that's never going to happen. So for all purposes,
Joe
what it
Public
looks
knows.
like, or for all we know, anyone knows, they've picked up this game, the official sequel to Arkham Knight. Batman's gone into hiding. He's come back. He's joined the Justice League. He's been killed by Harley Quinn, and he's never coming back.
Oh.
That was the last of Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Aw.
Oh.
What an inauspicious end.
And also, they probably explained to Kevin Conroy when he was doing these lines, they went, "Don't worry, we're bringing you back." It feels so horrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really don't like games as a service, especially when things like this happen, because it just trips over and it ruins it. Like they tacked this onto, it's not the most perfect series, but I like the story of those games.
Yes.
And wrecks it, in my opinion.
Oh.
Right. Shall we try and end on a slightly more cheery note? Let's try and end on a cheery note.
More cheery than being able to spend Luther bucks in the official store for.
It's
Suicide
incredible that
Justice
joy
League.
exists that transcends that wonderful ability to spend Luther coin.
Yes.
Yes. So Ubisoft have been helping celebrate Notre-Dame reopening. So for those of you being buried under a rock, Notre-Dame Cathedral in Paris burnt down a couple of years ago, and they have finally reopened it to the public. And it looks jolly splendid, I think, from the footage
I
I've
was
seen.
buried under a rock. I wouldn't care.
Can
About
I just
Notre-Dame,
say,
to be fair.
Notre Dame burnt down literally the week after I went to Notre Dame.
Oh.
Not to say like I planted anything.
So
but
it was you, yeah?
It was very weird.
Interesting.
I was just like, I couldn't believe because it happened. I was like, wow, I'm so glad I went to Notre Dame.
Wow.
Got to see
Main
it before
character
it caught
syndrome
fire.
coming from Coleman. Well, it's all right. It can burn down now because I've seen it.
Well, you've seen the
believe
old
this.
crappy version now, but hey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
now
went
need to
Notre
go back and see
Dame.
Notre Dame 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
It looks pretty splendid because I remember it being quite dark and dingy. Before it was, that was back.
While
in
you
like-
were the living hunchback, yeah?
Yeah, yes, because clearly that's that's what I am. But Ubisoft, my understanding is they did quite a big effort for fundraising for the reopening of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, although I have to say that it's great that they've done that, but it does make you wince a little bit when their way of celebrating it is an advertisement for Assassin's Creed Unity. You go, hey guys, remember we did this? It was really good.
And didn't Unity come out like 10 years ago as well?
It did. It's a long time ago.
So everyone's kind of, a lot of the headlines I've seen are Ubisoft celebrates Notre-Dame reopening by putting out an ad for a 10-year-old game. Like, I don't kind of see it that way. It's more like, hey, we took amazing inspiration from Paris. We did real-life scans and everything, and like this is what we came up with. Look at the side-by-side comparisons. And yeah, they've got to throw a bit of the character in there at the end because they're trying to keep their series alive, and and people are trying to kill it, and it's not going well. And you know, a lot of that being on them, but hey ho. But at the same time,
their
like,
video
we do seem
was
to...
a bit weird though. Like if you watch the actual video, it kind of does.
Yeah, I've seen the video.
Oh, remember we're going across the rooftops in Paris, and like.
Well, they did that with the Olympics.
Remember the faces
melting. That was like the brand new Assassin's Creed dude in that as well.
Yeah, but yeah, like Dan alluded to as well. People do seem to forget that Ubisoft were quite forward thinking in how, when this all happened, they were the first to go, hey, we've got all these high quality scans we've done of it. We've got all these maps we've put in place. Like, do you need them? Will this help you? And it did. And they also did fundraising for the rebuilding of the rebuilding. Rebuilding. Sure.
Renovation
of Notre-Dame.
Renovation.
So, yes, thank you. Renovation of Notre-Dame. So that was a very rare kind of good work, Ubisoft.
Yes.
We haven't said it for a while.
No,
good work.
They've had a bad year. Let's give them praise where there is some praise to give.
Well,
they've had a bad 6 years.
I applaud their long-term backup and archiving strategy so that they still had those things available so many years after.
The BBC many years ago could have learned this. We wouldn't have remade Doctor Who episodes and lost all the old black and white ones. Dad's Army as well. What else did we lose?
True.
Loads of stuff.
Loads of it.
Loads of it.
Loads of it. Right. So I think that's probably about it for the show, I think. But not before I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that you can go tpublic.com/stores/BRB and buy my face. There are several things with my face on it. You should go and buy them. Things that you can put on your face with my face. That's an exciting thing you should do. Put things on your body that have my face on it. I'm not even sure there's pants, but I'm fairly sure you can convince the people on tpublic.com/stores/BRB to put my face on some pants. So, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you get a coaster with Dan's face on it?
I think you can.
I'm looking at you, Tim. You're the one who organises the merch.
I'm not sure they had coasters.
If not, sort that out. I want to put a mug on Dan's face.
Mug on my mug is what you want to do.
Mug on his mug.
Mug on the mug.
You can get a fridge magnet.
That's not the same thing, Tim, and I think deep down you know it.
I just wondering, you might be able to get a round fridge magnet.
You could use a fridge magnet as a mug or as a coaster.
Fun though this conversation is, people can go and find out for themselves. We're going to tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Go there or go someone else entirely. But because we're limping towards the end of the year, sadly, this forthcoming Tuesday is not your barnstorming normal Tuesday, is it, Tim?
No.
Oh, no.
Although there is no official event, there is no official Tabletop Tuesday this week.
He will still find a way to talk
no
about
feature
it.
game. But
You'll still be there getting people to stroke your thighs.
Part of the reason there is I'm not sure how busy I'm going to be next week, and I might not be able to come along as early as normal. But there will be people playing games at Loading Bar in Stoke Newington on a Tuesday, and there will be tabletop games played aplenty, and a bit of Star Wars Unlimited as we'll be playing next week as well. But yeah, there's no feature game for next week. But Loading Bar is open over the whole festive period, apart from Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. So yeah, good place to spend New Year's Eve with lots of fun games, or a good time to visit generally. Although, yeah, we will be back with Tabletop Tuesday on the 7th of January. So we'll be back doing Tabletop Tuesday from then on. But yeah, the game collection and collection of games is generally there to play from then on. And you can join us next Tuesday just to play some games and generally do stuff, but there won't be any actual feature game. If you're interested in checking out details on Tabletop Tuesday, there are some more details on the right-hand side of bigwebhour.com. Or you can join the over 2,200 people in our meetup group. Search for Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com.
Splendid.
Meetup.com. Table-top-Tuesdays. Bosh.
Meat.
Mm-hmm.
If you've enjoyed this show, then thank you for watching, but what the hell is wrong with your major malfunction in your brain? Go over to bigredbarrel.com. There we
Where did
host the
that
Here
come from?
podcast. I don't know. We host the podcast. We host other things there, including
1996, I think is where it came from.
the great BRB. We have articles, we have videos, we have all the things you want from a site called bigredbarrel.com. On bigredbarrel.com. Go there, check us out. While
Please
you're there, maybe check out the links to our I've got to update that. The links to our social media sites. We're on X, we're on Threads, we're on Facebook, and we are on Blue Sky, if you are that way inclined, at Big Red Barrel. You can find us on Twitch at Big Red Barrel, and you can find us on YouTube at Big Red Barrel TV, which I suggest you go and check out. If you're not doing so already, you can watch a video version of this, and you can check out live streams of the show. Check us out. Seriously. Check us out.
With your eyes.
Also, you can find us on Discord there. I mean, you can ask us questions wherever you like, but we prefer it on Discord because it's just nice and easily. It's like the old forums, but they're on our Discord now. So come to check us out on Discord. There is a link on the website. But if you want to attempt to decipher the way that Dan says the URL for discord.com, it is
discord.com/invite/muntuhafwa.
Once again.
Discord.com/invite/muntuhafwa.
Right, you've got 4 weeks off, Dan. Your homework. You need to figure out how you're going to do this in the kind of... You remember how they used to do the phone... read out the phone numbers in a kind of sing-songy way on like Live and Kicking and stuff?
Yes. This sounds like a very optional task from the way you're describing it, but please
has to
continue.
be like the...
If he won't do it, get AI Dan to do it, Coleman.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So no, the problem with the AI voice replacements is they're trained off of existing vocals. So unless I've got vocals of Dan singing, it won't come out like he's singing.
You must have vocals
It's got nothing
Dan
to base it
singing by
off.
now, no?
I don't think we do.
If I go back in the archives, there is some what's his chops? Old funny name.
Brady.
Please release me, let me go.
Engelbert
Humperdinck. That's the one. We got some dancing in that somewhere.
Randomly. I don't quite know how that happens.
I believe that's in the episode I Have a Question.
Right. You
Memory
scare
serves
me.
correctly.
You very, very much scare me.
In his
I've got a Wikipedia in my brain of BRB and SGUK.
So, I think that's us wrapping up pretty much here. But don't fear, because we have a couple of bonus episodes recorded to see you over the Crimbo period. Even though we won't be here physically, you'll still be able to listen to our burblings at a time of your choosing. So, yeah, keep an eye out for those. We'll try to get one out a week, and normal service will be resumed some point in the middle of January, I believe. Yeah,
Yes.
let's go
Early
with that.
this January.
Let's go with that.
Earliest January.
Earliest
The
January.
17th of January, I believe.
17th. That's 17th of January, or the 16th of January. One or the two.
Or the 16th of January. One of the two.
But yes, but we're kind of signing off for 2024 now. We hope, obviously, all of you have very merry holiday periods of whichever choosing you want. But it's been a genuine pleasure speaking into a microphone and talking absolute nonsense at you. And we're always very humbled that so many of you download us each week. So thank you for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. So thank you ever so much. But then really, I think just to sign off the year, all that we need to do is remind you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
I'm about to go edit 5 episodes of a podcast.
Woo!
So Coleman was never seen again.
Entirely in stop motion.
and stuff. That's me doing stop motion, or I had a stroke. One of the two. I don't know.
Tindiana Jones and the Golden Crevice.
Okay.
Now that's the title.
Now that feels like reaching. All right, we'll let you have a little think about that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back. Well, you'll hear us again soon, but we'll be back properly in the new year. Have a very wonderful holiday period, and until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
It's a company that I have a lot of affinity for because it's one of the few companies I've actually visited their offices in a foreign country. I think that's the only one that's the case. But yeah.
Oh wait,
I
have you
really
visited
would
their
love
offices,
to see
Tim?
them. Yeah, I'd
does
love to
not
see
talk
them
about
do
it.
well.
You've
but
never
I
told
just-
us.